Hey everybody, this is Steve, and it's my privilege today to welcome my good friend Brian Dorsey to be with us. Brian is the superintendent of the Gilmer County School System, and we have been leasing the LHA Elementary School auditorium for a couple of years now. We've been loving being there. We've really enjoyed our relationship with the school system, and our status is changing a little bit, and Brian has come here today to be able to talk with us a little bit about that. Brian, thank you for being here today. Appreciate it.
Glad to be here. I'm hopefully going to be able to clear up some stuff, and not all of it's good news probably for you and your members, but hey, some of it's just the way life rolls occasionally, so we'll get through it.
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate your time today. So our status has changed.
Yes.
So things are different now than they were. What exactly is that? When we started off, we were just kind of renting on an ongoing basis with no real kind of end date, but that's changed some. Tell us what the change is.
Policy's been adopted where there will be no long-term rentals offered anymore unless it was an emergency, and then even that would have short-term durations. Those procedures won't go into effect until January 1. At that time, the board has authorized a one-year contract for 2 years with one option. So ultimately, 4 years from this coming January, there would need to be some other plans because that facility would not be available.
So January of 2018 is sort of our end date. We're out on that date.
Unless something changes that I can't foresee.
Right. Okay. Okay, good. So we've got 4 years to be able to be in school. So I understand that that's been the change, but why is that? What is the reason that we've kind of had this shift in policy?
One of the things that we constantly are going to different types of meetings, and a GSBA, which is Georgia School Board Association, they also provide our liability coverages. And they were doing policy reviews, and one of the biggest policy reviews that they get attacked on litigation sides are facility use plans. So they asked us to review ours almost 2 years ago, is my best recollection. And it's been a long, elaborate process, but that's what's changed it, is them wanting to make ourselves less exposed to liability issues.
And so long-term leases, they've determined that long-term leases to organizations provide you with a lot of exposure to risk.
Right. And
so we want to minimize that by eliminating those.
It seems to me, to make the long story short, that it's easier for you to get yourself in a situation you can't get out of.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay, good. And so this is basically sort of a hand-tying kind of thing. It's more or less the State Association of School Boards telling you that you need to minimize risk to keep your insurance active and all that kind of stuff. Is that more or less
to keep our costs down for that, obviously you could continue to do that, but you would more or less be knowingly exposing the taxpayers and the school system to increased liability. In other words, being somewhat negligent in your duties.
Okay. Well, that totally makes sense. I understand that. I do have some people that are asking questions about our relationship, and whether or not you're mad at us, or if you hate us now, or something like that, and if we've done something really wrong. And so basically I'm hearing the answer is you don't hate us.
Maybe. Absolutely not. As I've told you before, you have beautiful eyes.
Thanks.
So no hate here. Just trying to take care of the school business side of that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, sometimes you end up in a situation you'd rather not end up in.
Beautiful eyes. Well, let me ask a couple of questions. I told you I was going to ask you this ahead of time. So on your website, the Gilmer County School Board website, you guys have been very intentional to outline a strategic plan to further help with the effectiveness and the efficiency of educating students in Gilmer County. You have 5 goals listed on that website, and I want to ask you about 2 of those goals because I think that we help you accomplish 2 of those goals, frankly, by being in the school. Goal number 3 is to enhance educational programs through increased community involvement.
Right.
You list objectives under that to provide and increase opportunities for students, staff, schools, and system to serve the external community. We feel like we are a community organization in a sense, as a church, and so we're here, and we feel like that this new regulation kind of hand ties you from that. The other goal I want to mention is goal number 5, and this is a huge one, I think. Goal number 5 for your strategic plan says that you want to pursue and secure alternate funding and resources while optimizing operational efficiency. So you want to pursue funding. Number 1 objective on that is to pursue funding from applicable sources. Number 2 is to increase resources through private partnerships with the business community and other stakeholders. And number 3 is to maximize operational efficiency in all areas of the system. Now, just so you know, we've got people that feel like, number 1, we provide $24,000 a year into the school, the local school system, and we love that. We love paying rent to the school system more than paying rent to local business owners, because we're a not-for-profit, and we think that we not-for-profits got to stick together. Plus, we feel like it's part of our ministry to help the local educational system. So we love that fact. And also, we feel like our ability to meet in the schools long-term makes us more than just even a stakeholder, because we have a vested interest in not only maintaining the school buildings, but improving them. I mean, we want to be there long term, so we want it to be better than it is today, and we want to do whatever we can to help it be better. So your goals that are listed on the website are pretty clear that you want to move in this particular direction, and we feel like we're in that vein really solidly, but we feel like the new regulations that have come down kind of are the opposite of what this states. Tell me about that.
Well, first, I can absolutely say that Dr. Schlabra, the principal at LJ Elementary, is completely saddened by the loss of revenue, because she gets a great portion of that for her staff and her school, and certainly doesn't want that to change, just on the fact of the economy-driven side of the discussion for her in that school. We are appreciative to that, but as far as the economic gains, I guess that's one of the reasons that drove this policy decision. How much of it is a gain if you're going to expose that, and a lot more to the risk of losing it. So it gets back into those compliance issues on how they think that we're less exposure to that rising insurance costs versus, hey, here's a different way. The same thing we review workman comp incidences. How can we lower our exposure to workman comp claims? Obviously by increasing safety. So by increasing policies, you get a chance to hopefully reduce your costs for operations and come in compliance for that. And then a lot of this stuff is driven by so many vehicles and devices, because once again, what makes that increase more likely is the fact that while you are here and I as an individual absolutely measure your intentions as good, there are several times that I've personally, since I've gotten here, got calls from organizations, and I will say, using the word disguising themselves as churches, trying to get into our schools in a similar type fashion, using all these vehicles, and personally I don't measure them as doing good. And then if you do some background checks on them, you'll see that all they're really trying to do is find a way to sue you. That's happened since I've been here. So the risks are real. It's just that those don't get publicized as much, because it's kind of hard to talk about all this stuff and to reveal everything that you can't, because of the laws that require you not to. So you have a lot of hand tying that goes on, and we are still a bureaucracy, whether we like to be or not, and there's a lot of things that have to go into consideration. I do wish it was more of being able to pick. Some people would benefit greatly from that, and others probably wouldn't, and I don't get that personal exercise, and so since it's not given, I don't exercise it. And I think, unfortunately, you have been caught within your church being entrapped with some others, and it's a lot, unfortunately, for both of us. A lot of times I feel like that fish that wasn't meant to be in that net, but yet I'm being drug ashore. And I think that's the same situation for you guys. You got caught, unfortunately, in a net of all the litigation that's in our environment now, and all the cost of insurance, and that's one of our largest growing costs for our school organization. Health care and liability coverages, workman comp, those are three huge grows for us, trying to manage our budgets. So that's some of the reason. We do absolutely see you guys as a benefit to our school system. We want you to know that. I hear that over and over again. I've never heard a negative word about you guys as a church that is involved in our schools, and we certainly appreciate and hope to continue that. It's just, unfortunately, we all will have to make some kind of transition together too. Unless there's some change, like I said, that I don't foresee right now.
Well, it sounds like what you're saying, and I know I mentioned this earlier, but it sounds like what you're saying is you guys have really clearly defined what you believe to be the best, most strategic plan to move forward with educating students here in Gilmer County, but you have been tied down a little bit by the red tape that comes from the bureaucracy, who are looking at that big picture of being open to lawsuits and being open to other exposures for risk. So that totally makes sense, and I understand that. I feel that it's a horrible, horrible decision, not on y'all's part, but just for church planting in general. I know churches meet in schools all over the place, and it's a great way for churches to get started. And as someone who desires to see the gospel spread and to see people come to know Christ, and to do so without having to build buildings or to rent very, very expensive spaces that will sit empty for days at a time, I feel like it's a great resource. I feel like it's beneficial to the gospel. I feel like it's beneficial to churches, and I even feel like it's beneficial to schools, really, for the most part, to have organizations like ours, dual-use facilities. But I definitely understand where you're coming from and where they're coming from as they kind of make you guys kind of work into their mold here. That answers a lot of our questions. Let me ask you one final question, if I can. We've been tenants there for a couple of years now. We have loved being there. Lisa Shalabra over there, the principal, all of you guys have been very, very wonderful to work with. You've been very encouraging. You've been very positive. We've just loved our relationship. We feel like it's opened doors, like with Seamless Summer and with a bunch of other things too. So we've loved being there. What can we do in our remaining time? What can we do to be better tenants, to be better neighbors, to be better partners with you guys and help you accomplish what you're trying to accomplish?
I think the one thing you can do is what we're doing right now, helping us improve communications by being an active participant with our school system. The Seamless Summer program is used as an example. What a great success for both partnerships, but honestly for also the people we're both trying to serve, which are these kids in our community. So I think as you guys continue to do, so I don't know that I have this great offering of, hey, here's something you're not doing. I would say continuing to strengthen what you guys have been doing for our kids and our school system and our community is, I'm sure, appreciated well past just myself. I know I'm thankful for what you guys are contributing, and we appreciate what you're doing, and we hope that while this is, like I said before, not an ideal situation that we're both trying to face, but I do think that, once again, as they say, when one door closes, another's going to open, and I look forward to all of us opening doors together.
Yeah. Well, Brian, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate everything. Thank you for your time, and I hope to be able to talk with you again soon.
Absolutely, sir. Anytime.